Welcome back to the second module of this Unit 1 data analysis, and we would be talking about collecting and organizing data. Now, in the previous module, we talked about why we are studying this particular subject, that is statistics, and basically, we would be dealing with some data, and this data occurs because there is some research question that needs to be answered. So we have some process that we are trying to investigate, for which now we have defined a question based on which we are trying to gather some data. So let us say this is the question that I'm looking at. Which of the city among Mumbai and Chennai is cheaper for food? So I basically want to find out which among the two cities, Mumbai and Chennai, is cheaper. So this is the question that I am trying to answer. So it's very important that you define the question first, because all your further steps will depend on this particular question. Once you have this question, uh, based on this question, what you do is you collect the data. Now in this case, you are trying to find out basically the meal prices in the two cities. So your data in this case will be the price or the cost of meals in these two cities, Mumbai and Chennai. So we collect data which will be in the raw form initially, which we then put it into an organized form, so that we can understand the data in a better way, so that we can derive some information from it. Once we have organized it, then we describe the data. I mean, we look at what is the behavior of the data, or the internal properties of the data points, and so on. And after we have described it, then we try to analyze it by using various statistical tools that we have at hand. After the analysis is done, we try to conclude based on, this is always from the point of view of the question that you are trying to answer. So we conclude. Of course, there is an intermediate step here, that is verify. We always should be verifying that what analysis that we are carrying out is good enough. Of course, but that is not at this level. It is at the later level. So this conclusion that we derive, then it is based on the question that we are trying to answer. So it's very important that before you collect data, that you clearly define your question. Based on your question, then you define your objectives. Like in this case, the question was, which among the two cities, Mumbai and Chennai, is cheaper? So your objectives will be to find out maybe the cost of meals in these two cities, and then compare it. Then once you have the data, decide on what statistical tool you'll use. Again, from the point of view, the question that you are trying to answer. Be very clear about the measurement priorities. Decide what you are trying to measure and how you are going to measure it. Now in this case, you are trying to find out the cost of meals. So it will be sort of a numeric data. It will be cost of meals in rupees and so on. Now what are the options that we have? Now in this particular question that we are trying to answer, what you'll do is, one option that I have is we visit every restaurant in Mumbai and find out the cost of meals. The same way, visit every restaurant in Chennai and find the cost of meals. And then you compare the cost and then decide which is the city which is cheaper. Now this is like I'm going after the entire population, and as we discussed in the previous module, we know this is very difficult to do. That's why we go for option 2. So option 2 is we take a sample from Mumbai, sample of restaurants from Mumbai in this case. The same way we'll take a sample from Chennai, and then we'll compare these two samples and then conclude for the question, that is the city which is cheaper. We have to only make sure that the samples that we are taking here are very good representative of the two populations, or both the cities in this case. So the question here is, which of the city among Mumbai and Chennai is cheaper for food? Based on this, my objectives are, I want to find out the cost of meals in Mumbai, I want to find the cost of meals in Chennai, and then I want to compare the cost using appropriate statistical tools. So I have a question, and based on that I have objectives. So what I do is I collect a sample. So I take a sample from Mumbai. So these are here 50 cost of meals in 50 restaurants in Mumbai. Okay, we have the table shows cost of meals in 50 restaurants. So these are 50 restaurants in Mumbai and these are 50 restaurants in Chennai. Let's say for example, if I look at this particular value, that is 55, it means that the first restaurant that I am looking at in Mumbai, it offers you food for 55 rupees. Okay, in the same way, the second restaurant in Mumbai, it gives for rupees 26. This is rupees 35. The same way, 58 rupees, 34 rupees, 51 rupees. So these are the cost of meals in 50 restaurants in Mumbai. The same way I have cost of meals in 50 restaurants in Chennai. This is 62 rupees, 27 rupees, 47 rupees and so on. Now once I have collected this data, let's say I am looking at the data corresponding to Mumbai. So these are 50 values that I have. Now what information can you gather from this data that I have? Now this data is in raw form. Okay. So it will not be very easy to observe or get any information from the data when it is raw like this. Okay. Even if we try to gather some information from this, will it be enough from the perspective of the question that we are trying to answer? That is what we need to see. Now I don't think we'll be able to see much of the information here. So what we need to do is we need to put it into a form so that we can derive some information, some conclusions. That is the reason why we organize this data. And one of the way to do it is you put it into a tabular form. So I want to organize this data, these 50 values in a tabular form. So what we do is we divide this data into groups. So what I'll do is all those values which are in a particular range, I'll put them into one group. Say rupees 0 to 10, I'll put them into one group. 10 to 20, I'll put them in another group, and so on. So we club them into groups. To put them into groups, what we do is we first find out the range of the data. Now range of the data is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. So what you have to do is you have to look at the data and you have to identify or locate what is the highest value. Now the highest value here, if you look at, it will be 76. The same way you have to look at the smallest, the least value here. So if you look at, then you will see that 13 here is the lowest value. So we define the range as the difference between the highest and the lowest value. In this case, it will be 76 minus 13, that is 63. So once we have the range, then you decide what is the size of the group that you are looking at. Now, like how I said, I may divide the values in like 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 30, these groups. Or I may also define it as 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and so on. Now your size that you are choosing here will decide how many classes that you will get. Okay, so we divide the data into different groups here. These groups that I am referring to are called as classes. So we have to find out how many classes that we'll get. Now I'll decide on the number of classes. So to decide on the number of classes, what you do is first I choose my class size. Suppose I take a class size of 10, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, and so on. In that case, I will divide this range, that is 63, by 10. Now 10 is the size of the group or class that I am looking at. So if I take R as 63 here and class size as 10, then I divide the range 63 by 10, I'll get 6.3. Rounding it to, I'll get 6 or 7. So what we know is that if I take class size as 10, then I'll have around 6 or 7 classes. We take it as 7 classes in this case. So therefore there will be approximately 6 or 7 classes. Now if I had taken this class size as say 5 instead of 10, then you will divide this range 63 by 5. In that case you will end up getting around 14 classes. Okay, instead of 7 classes you will get 14 classes. Now, to divide this data into those classes, you can either do it manually or by using Excel. So let us say I want to do it manually. So what I do is, now this entire data I have put into this classes: 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on till 70 to 80. So list value is 13 and highest value is 76. That's why my last interval is 70 to 80. Now when I form this classes, look at this. I have 10 to 20, then 20 to 30. Okay. Now 20 appears in the first class and the second class as well. Now these classes are called as exclusive type. Now what I have to know is that this 20 upper limit here is not included in this class, but 20 is included in this class. The same way I have 30 here, I have 30 here. Now 30 is not included here, but it is included here. So basically the upper limits here are not included, okay, and the lower limits are included. Now once I know this, then I start putting these values in this table. Now I look at 55. Now 55 falls between 50 to 60. So what I'll do is I'll mark 1 here. Then I go to 26. Now 26 is between 20 to 30. So I'll mark 1 here. Then 35. 35 is between 30 to 40. So I mark 1. Then 58. 58 is between 50 to 60. I mark here. Then I have 34. 34 is between 30 to 40. Mark here. Then I have 51. 51 is between 50 to 60. Then I have 55. 55 is again here. So like this you have to mark all the values. Now let's say you reach at 40 here. Now this 40 is in 40 to 50 class, so you'll mark it here. So when you're looking at 40, 40 is not here, it is not in 30 to 40, it is in 40 to 50, so you'll mark it here. The same way if you look at 50, 50 will appear in 50 to 60 class, so you'll mark it here. So like this you have to mark all these points here. You have to carry out a tally. Once you are done with this, you will get something like this. So I have completed all the 50 values here. So 10 to 20 there are 1, 20 to 30 there are 5 markings. So accordingly I total this and I write down this total values here. So from 10 to 20 I have 1 entry. From 20 to 30 I have 5 entries. From 30 to 40 I have 9 entries. So I write 9 here. 40 to 50 there are 10 entries, so I write 10 here. 50 to 60 there are 15 entries here. What it means is there is one restaurant which cost of meal is between rupees 10 to 20. There are 5 restaurants whose cost of meal is between 20 to 30, rupees 20 to 30. There are 10 entries which are between 40 to 50. That means there are 10 restaurants here who offer food for rupees 40 to 50 and so on. Okay, and there are total 50 entries here. So the total here is 50. So I have put this data into a table here. The classes corresponding to classes, I have written the frequencies here. This table is called as a frequency distribution table. Okay, we are writing how the frequencies are distributed for this classes. Okay, now at least we'll be in a better position to derive some information from this. Okay, as we compare with this data, raw data, and this table, this is in a better form to understand. Now some things that you need to remember is like when we were deciding on the number of classes, we preferably theoretically expect the number of classes to be 6 to 15, ideally between 8 to 12. Okay, best is around 10. So you have to form your choose your class size so that the number of classes in the frequency table is around 8 to 12, between 8 to 12. If like in this table that we considered earlier, we took the class size as 10. If we had taken it as 5, then we would have got 14 classes. Okay, that is not really advisable, because you won't be able to again get very good information from this. Of course, it is not a hard and fast rule. In some cases, it might require to have those many classes. The process of deciding the number of classes and the class size can be reversed. Like when we actually found out, when we decided the table, we assumed the class size first, and then we got, based on that, we got the number of classes. We can always decide first how many classes we want, and then accordingly I'll get what should be the class size. So in general, if I want k classes, then you have to divide the range by k, and then accordingly you'll get the class size. Like in this case, instead of 10 as the class size, if you want say 8 classes, you have to divide the range by 8. Okay, then you know that accordingly the class size is 8. So this process can always be reversed. In that case, if you take the class size as 8, then your classes can be like 21 to 28, 29 to 36, 37 to 44, and so on. Now in this data that we were looking at, the minimum value was 13. So you can start maybe from 11 to 18, and then 18 to 26, and so on. We usually prefer the classes to be something like 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, or 0 to 10, 10 to 20, because these classes are usually convenient to work with. Like if you compare with 0 to 5 with 1 to 6, even though the class size is 5, but 0 to 5 is always easier to work with as compared to 1 to 6. Okay, so whatever is the minimum or the maximum value, we usually prefer having classes like 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and so on. So the same thing we can do it for Chennai. Okay, so I put this data of 50 restaurants for Chennai into a frequency distribution table. The same way I have done a tally thing, and then counted the values markings in each of the classes. So I have to identify the range first, look at the minimum value, maximum value. Accordingly, you have to decide on the classes. Now here the minimum value is between 20 to 30. It must be 21. That's why I start the class itself with 20 to 30. And the maximum value is between 60 to 70. So my last interval class is 60 to 70. Now, if I look at these two tables, we are in a better position to derive some information, which we were not able to do when we look at the raw data. Like in this case, you will compare Mumbai with Chennai. You'll see that 10 to 20 there is one restaurant, whereas for Chennai 20 to 30 there are 12 restaurants, as compared to Mumbai for 20 to 30 there are only 5 restaurants. 30 to 40 for Mumbai there are 9 restaurants, whereas for Chennai 30 to 40 there are 13. So you can say that more of a Chennai restaurants are on a lower side as compared to Mumbai. More of a Mumbai restaurants are on a higher side. Okay. Whereas for Chennai, the higher values, there are less entries, frequencies are lesser. So in this initial observation, we can always say that restaurant or the meal is cheaper in Chennai as compared to Mumbai. Some important things that we need to keep in mind when we are writing down a frequency distribution table is that we always should have clear titles indicating the variables and cases. So I should have these titles very clearly mentioned. Have clearly labeled categories that are mutually exclusive. Now in this case I have only one variable, but maybe if you want to write down Mumbai and Chennai in the same table, so you'll have Mumbai and you'll have Chennai separately because they are mutually exclusive events. So all mutually exclusive categories should always be separate in a table. Always mention the total number of cases. Now in this case there are 50 restaurants, so always mention the total at the end. In case you are taking this data from somewhere else, you have to always mention the source of the data. Now this is my own data, so there is no source here, but in case you are taking it from some other resources like magazines or internet or research journal, so below the table you should always mention the source of the data. And in case there are some values which are missing, we should always give the reasons why they are less, or why they are missing, or why the total is less than the actual number of values that were actually collected first, and so on. Now, if you recall, the classes that we considered earlier were 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, where the upper limit was not included. Now, in case you want to include both the values, lower and the upper values limits, then they are called as inclusive classes. Okay, so in that case, the classes can be of the form 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and so on. Now look at, I write down 21 to 30, and then I don't start with 30 here, I start with 31. So what I mean by this is that 21 and 30 both are included in this class. 31 and 40 both are included in this class, and so on. Okay, so these are called as inclusive classes. So if I have to use inclusive classes here for this data, that is cost of Mumbai, cost in Mumbai, then I'll have 11 to 20, and then I start with 21 to 30, 31 to 40. So now lower limit and upper limit are both included here. So in the entries like say you have 40 here, you have 40. Now this 40 will be marked here in this class 31 to 40, because now 40 is included here. In the previous case, we used to mark this 40 in the next class because it is to start with 40 here. Now 40 will appear in 31 to 40. The same way 50 will appear in 41 to 50. Rest procedure remains the same. You'll again do the tally. 55 falls here, so you'll mark 1. 26 falls in 21 to 30, you'll mark here. So these things remains the same, except for now those border values, okay, like 40, 50, I have 50 here, then I have 70 here. 70 will fall in 61 to 70. Okay, the rest procedure remains the same. Thank you.